This week on Instant Experts, Trump has a shocker, even by his standards.
Every week, a new low.
The West's Tigers have a win, and we were there to see it.
You only watched when you knew he'd won.
What? It's true. And it's quick shots, but in Costco, in our Cunts of the Week. It's like Cunts Cluedo. Welcome back to Instant Experts, episode 60, first week of winter edition. It's all the latest news explained by idiots, here to keep you sane in a crazy world. I'm Henry Lee, and as always, I'm here with my dear friend, the Honk. Honky, welcome.
Henry, my dear fellow, it is, even this week, a pleasure to be here to see your smiling face.
Where are you watching from this week, my friend?
Well, I'm hiding out in my own little Instant Experts bunker in Sydney. You know, we always joke this is a show about crooks, fuckwits and morons, but this week they finally got to me. The world is just... It's just too depressing. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, I was pretending to exercise in Centennial Park here in Sydney.
You're exercising. Things are dire. Honk.
Pretending. Let's not go crazy. So pretending to exercise Centennial Park in Sydney, and I see a park staff guy walking the wrong way down the cyclist track using a leaf blower in Centennial Park. The whole fucking park is leaves, and that is how I feel this week.
So at the risk of triggering you again, what horror show caught your eye this week?
It's worse than that. A horror show caught my ass and yours. I'm talking about this scandal from last week's Australian Audio Award. Sorry, the other scandal on top of the one where we was robbed in our category. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, we might have.
So the other scandal is the boss of the Newcastle radio station 2HD, a guy called Guy Ashford, has been stood down after a presenter on his station, a woman named Sherilyn Darcy, won the award for Best Radio Newcomer. Ashford rushes the stage. I don't think he was giving an award. Picks her up and slaps his hand all over her butt. Listeners, we'll post the image to our show notes.
It was dead set 1987 up there, an ass grab and a half. In fact, I thought it was a long weekend. I thought it was double ass grab and a half. It was, I mean, I literally thought either they're married or this guy is in deep shit.
The ferocity of that ass grab pretty much was in deep shit. Thank God they didn't serve any curry puffs in the canapes. My only solace this week is that it was quite possibly the single worst 7 days of Donald Trump's presidency, either of them.
Wow, low praise indeed.
The Vice Prostate BJ Vance arrived for a speech in the White House this week, and right away you could sense his deep anxiety.
What happened? Was he asked for his opinion on how things are going?
That almighty fart was picked up in the hallway before he even entered the room.
We played one of Heggo, the Secretary of Defence, Pete Hegseth, letting one rip on stage in episode 53 a few weeks back. This one, I have to say, is even more impressive. Luckily, the Trump administration doesn't recognise the UN. Otherwise, they'd be accused of using chemical weapons on their own people.
You would think Vance, of all people, the guy served in Iraq. Shouldn't he know better? This administration, though, you mentioned Heggo, now Vance. It's like the flatulence equivalent of that classic 1970s heavyweight boxing era. You know, you've got Foreman, Frazier, Ken Norton.
All furiously trying to fart their way to a title shot.
Title shot.
Against the undisputed nappyweight champion of the world, Donald Med Ali.
That's just Clay, if you really wanted to annoy him.
Now, Honk, you said it's been Trumpy's worst week. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with a fun one, perhaps. Earlier in the week, Trump's name was ordered off the Kennedy Center. So the tradies literally have to get up on the ladder and prize it off. In fact, there's video of exactly that.
What happened?
So a court found that a decision to change the name of the Kennedy Center, which was built as a living memorial to the late President John F. Kennedy, could only be made by Congress, which established that living memorial.
Trumpy won't like that one, Honky. He loves nothing more than putting his name on things.
It's not like he earned it like JFK did. The poor bastard got shot in the head.
Hey, I'm with you. RFK got shot in the head too, and he got nothing except an anti-vax nutjob son.
Who is a living memorial to selling out. Turned from Democrat to Independent to Republican as soon as they offered him a job, right?
Yeah, spot on. What else, Honky?
You'll enjoy this. The 1776 fund is officially dead. That was the $1.776 billion slush fund Trump created by suing the US government as a citizen. This one stunk so badly, they genuine presidential bowel explosion. Even the Republicans objected.
Oh, dear God, Honk, they're alive. Where have they been for the last 15
It's unclear.
months?
So the Republican senators are so alive, they left town. That's what happened. Rather than authorize the funds, they left Washington before the vote could be held, refused to vote. And they also held back, quote, security funding for the White House unless that slush fund was binned. And that's a very sensitive topic for Trump, given that, A, that's basically his ballroom funding. They're building a massive bunker with all the trimmings underneath the White House, putting the ballroom on top. Yeah. And B, cutting his security funding is a huge concern also because everyone's trying to fucking shoot him the whole time.
And for good reason. So is that it? Is that all Trump's fuck-ups for the week?
He's just getting started, mate. Next up is Trump's 250 concert event. That's the one that's supposed to celebrate 250 years since the US declared independence, but which is now effectively cancelled after virtually all the invited musical guests dropped out, including Poison's Bret Michaels, the Prince side band Morris Day and the Time, Young MC, Bust a Move. The miming scandal duo Millo Vanillo were meant to perform. One of them is dead.
I think Vanilla Ice dropped out too.
Do you know how many more blowjobs Vanilla Ice is going to have to give a train station toilets now to cover the fee? That's how much he hates Trump.
Surely that would be Milli Vanilli, Honk. Their finest work was done open-mouthed in silence.
Bret Michaels, I think, also did some fine work on a sex tape at one point, didn't he? Might have been Pamela Anderson's first effort.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that, Honky. I really did think that video cassette was wildlife of the Amazon. You're on it.
Trump, of course, has tried, as he always does, to put on a brave face. He's announced himself as the headline act for this concert. He's also trying to put his face on a special commemorative $250 bill, despite, and we've covered this before too, it being against US federal law for a living person to be on any US currency.
Yeah, that's just crazy. I mean, a $3 bill, I could believe, Honky. I mean, he's such a shonk, that would be entirely appropriate.
That is not all. Peace talks with Iran appear now to be suspended.
Right.
And Trump's claiming he got bored and called them off because they were taking too long. Meanwhile, Iran says it has. Meanwhile, Iran says it has ceased all negotiation with the US, which it pretty clearly has. And instead, just a few days ago, it struck Kuwait airport where it killed one tourist and it injured 60-odd people. Except all that catastrophe is nothing. We've talked before about how the Iran war is basically like one long season of the classic soap opera Dynasty, except with serious real-world implications.
Yeah, I don't remember Joan Collins and John Forsyth fighting over the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, now it's back to the real show. Another huge catfight between Alexis Trumpington and the great Linda Evansyahu. Linda Evansyahu's back.
Blonde and brunette, Honk, the US and Israel, ice and fire, all fighting for the love of one man. The Ayatollah Carrington. So what's happening?
There was a huge bust-up this week between US President Trump and the Israeli PM Bibi Netanyahu because Israel kept bombing southern Lebanon while Trump is trying to have peace talks with Iran. And don't forget, Iran fund Hezbollah, who Israel is fighting against in southern Lebanon.
Yes, but the complication is that Iran said peace in Lebanon is part of the deal. I mean, we don't have anything to do with southern Lebanon, obviously, but you need to stop bombing our guys there that we're funding.
Absolutely right. So the sources say that on this call, Trump was screaming at Bibi, including phrases like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
To be fair, Bibi might have asked Trump the same question, Honky, because that's not clear.
Trump apparently went on to say, "If it wasn't for me, you'd be in prison."
Again, Honky, are you sure Trump said that to Netanyahu? Not the other way around.
It's just not clear, is it? I mean, one of them said it to the other. That's all we know. And in both cases, the statement would be justified.
It sort of feels like Jones put on a blonde wig and Linda's put on a brunette one, and now they've tumbled into the pool and no one knows who's who.
Not just tumbled into the pool. They tumbled into the pool off the top of a balcony, through the chandelier into the pool. It's turned into a giant wet T-shirt competition, and everyone is hoping they start making out at the end.
Indeed. Well, in that vein, Israel did call off the strikes on Lebanon after Trump's phone call, if that's what you're driving at. So.
Yes, except there was a ceasefire. I actually saw this on a news site, the summary by Time. It said Israel and Lebanon agreed to ceasefire 9:31, 11:46. Hezbollah bombs Israel, Israel bombs Hezbollah. Anyway, I myself still hoping for a dynasty-themed adult movie with a, let me put it delicately, with a sapphic theme. But if I have to settle for peace in the Middle East, it'll have to do.
Linda and Joan, God bless them.
Yeah.
Okay, Honk, great opening salvo. Now it's time for shout-outs to listeners, my favourite part of the show, and we have loyal listeners all over Australia, of course, and around the world, regulars in places like Nairobi in Kenya who've been with us from the start, but a big audience there this week, even more than usual. Dublin and Ireland, ancestral home of the Lee family, of course.
The O'Lees, surely. You're not secretly English and not telling us, are you?
My great-grandfather's house was burnt down by the IRA, okay? But don't jump to conclusions.
I wouldn't dare. Not within 20 feet of my car.
And singing in Baden-Württemberg in the southwest of Germany. For some reason, Honk, we're very big in Baden-Württemberg.
We are bigger than the Black Forest, Mercedes, Porsche, Heidelberg Castle, and the source of the Danube combined.
All great features of Baden-Württemberg, of course. But, Honky, new locations, many and varied, include Marseille in Bouches-du-Rhône. We like to test our French every week on the show, don't we, Honk? How was that?
Pigeon French, I think you mean.
Isn't it pigeon?
C'est pas toi, actuellement.
merci beaucoup, Honky. We've got Scandici in the province of Florence.
I think you mean the Provence of Florence.
And finally, Nantucket, right there off Cape Cod in Massachusetts, one island east of Martha's Vineyard, playground of the rich and famous, and home, of course, Honky, of Captain Ahab and the good ship Pequod in Moby Dick.
I once knew a girl from Nantucket. Probably not one for the show.
Yeah, indeed. There once was a girl from Nantucket.
But it's also home of the real whaleship Essex, on which the Pequod, the ship in Moby Dick, was based, right?
Whose name rhymed with Massachusetts.
I was trying to be subtle, all right? You never know. She might still be there. The Essex, of course, was sunk by a sperm whale, which I think they were trying to hunt in 1799, I think it was. The only problem was these guys were 2,000 nautical miles from land.
Yes, I read that book, The Wreck of the Whaleship Essex, on your recommendation many years ago. Just remind me what happened.
It's a really pretty terrifying story. So the Essex, as I recall, was the main ship. When it was wrecked, the 20-man crew was forced to make...
Wrecked by Moby Dick, wasn't it, basically?
Wrecked by the angry sperm whale, which they were trying to kill.
Which Melville based the book on,
Which Melville based the book on. So when the Essex was wrecked, the 20-man crew are forced to make land, I think, in 3 whaleboats with the food and water they could salvage, which was not much, ships going down. After a month at sea, they landed on Henderson Island, which is in the Pitcairn archipelago, but which makes Pitcairn look like fucking New York City.
Yeah, the mutiny of the Bounty was about 10 years earlier, so Pitcairn was inhabited by then, I think.
Yes, the inbreeding had begun.
And it's continued in earnest.
Yeah, anyway, 3 men from the Essex elected to stay on Henderson Island, from which they were rescued, I think, in April 1821. But the remaining 17 guys decided to set off again for the coast of South America.
I've got a bad feeling about this, Honky. That's a very long way.
Yeah, the men suffered severe dehydration, starvation, and exposure on the open ocean, of course, and the survivors eventually resorted to cannibalism. By the time they're rescued in, I think, February 1821, 3 months after the sinking of Essex, only 5 of the 17 are alive.
But the other 12 were delicious.
Delicious.
I just realised our timeline took about 22 years. I must have got a year wrong there. But anyway, cannibalism on the high seas, a great story. And Honky, we had lots of messages from listeners. Last show, we covered Trump not turning up to Donald Trump Jr.'s his own son's wedding to Bettina, who gives a shitovich, whom we also sledged for being described as, quote, a model/socialite/philanthropist, unquote, and inferred that she must have had a rich daddy.
We did, and she does.
Yes, because show regular Lady Rebecca from Centennial Park pointed out that Bettina, who gives a shitovich's daddy, was also, wait for it, Jeffrey Epstein's banker.
No way. No.
Wait. He was his personal banker.
Fuck. So that finally explains why Trump Sr. didn't go to the wedding, right? He'd have to sit at the parents' table and be told, "Hey, man, it's good to see you again," and your face for the first time.
Yeah. How are the kids? No, not those ones. Your kids.
Yeah. I've got a couple as well. The Ginger Ninja wrote back to us saying that you're still wrong, Henry, on bonds, and then you wrote back to me saying you're still right. So I think we might just call that one a draw.
Hey, Honk, I thought I was wrong once, but I was wrong.
Big thanks also to another regular listener, Chainsaw Pete from Newcastle, for his feedback on our unprompted Liberal versus Labor battle royale top of last week's show. He wrote, quote, "Love today's episode. The part where the two of you disagreed over Labor/the budget was brilliant. When you two disagree, us dingbat listeners get to have our own half-baked opinions represented by at least one of you."
I object there, Honky. My opinions are fully baked, Chainsaw. Can I call you Chainsaw? We're only half-baked because Honk's opinions are red raw.
Henry drowning in a pool of humility over there. I'm throwing him an anvil.
Okay, last one, Hockey. And my Sister Lee, has suggested we start a new advice segment. Working title, Ask the Experts.
Other working title, Bad Ideas.
And she writes, question, is it bad form to have laughed out loud at Jeff Bezos's rocket blowing up on the tarmac? Am I a bad person or can I enjoy my Schadenfreude in peace? Honk, what say you?
We had a very good laugh last year, didn't we, about Elon Musk's rocket blowing up, so I don't see how this is any different.
Yeah, that was the one that took off over the Gulf of Mexico and blew up over the Caribbean Sea. We covered it in, I reckon, episode 7.
Yes, I think it rained debris all over the Caribbean seamen, didn't it?
Whose rocket was bigger before it exploded, Musk's or Bezos's?
I don't know, but I feel like the Caribbean rocket was bigger than both of them.
Okay, well, we'll leave that there, but I wholeheartedly agree. Have a laugh at this one and move on.
Yeah, sometimes the Caribbean seaman rains down on the debris. Did you know that?
I might have seen that movie. Was Bret Michaels also in it?
There's one based on the Whaleship Essex where the crew has to eat the Caribbean seaman.
Good Lord. Okay. Time for quick shots.
Yes, a couple more of the world's crooks. Yes, a couple more of the world's crooks. Fuck, we killed Henry. Yes, a couple more of the world's crooks, fuckwits, and morons before, thank God, we move on.
To some Australian crooks, fuckwits, and morons, hopefully.
Yes, that's what I meant, yeah. So in the past fortnight, Tulsi Gabbard resigned. Now, she was Trump's Director of National Intelligence.
Yeah, we use that term loosely, resigned and intelligence.
Yes, indeed. A combat veteran she was and former Democrat congresswoman from Hawaii, switched teams when she saw a chance to get a rails run with Trump. She did very little useful in office, I think you'd say. But in fairness, she was opposed to Trump's expansion of foreign policy, Iran, Venezuela, etc., and she ended up getting sidelined for it.
She did, but she was also widely regarded, Honk, as being pro-Russia, and she was certainly often quoted on Russian state TV, and in fact at one stage referred to Russia's legitimate security concerns in relation to Ukraine.
Yeah, I am concerned they will intercept my fist with their face.
Yeah, indeed. Now, I'm not sure if Tulsi Gabbard ever quite reached friend of the show status in the same way as Kristi Noem or our Pam Bondi.
She was probably not quite as appalling, right?
No, in a kind of a midget's high jump kind of way.
But she is gone all the same. This one was apparently legit. Her husband has a rare form of bone cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's not good.
Probably also not good that of the 4 cabinet members who've been boned or quit, our Pam, Kristi Noem, dodgy Labor Secretary Laurie Chavez-DeRima, and now Tulsi Gabbard, all 4 of those, of course, are women.
No, Honk. But in fairness to Trump, the women he hired have been a bunch of crooks, fuckwits, and morons, equally to the men. So it has been equal opportunity in that regard.
And the blokes mostly aren't smart enough to realise they're doing a shit-house job, right? I'm thinking of Pete Hegseth, of course, but you could throw a few others in there as well.
Yeah, indeed. Whatever happened to Scott Bessent, Honky, Trump's Treasury Secretary? Is he still alive? I mean, with inflation rampant and Trump's tariffs ruled illegal, you'd hope that Bessent is now eating dung from a dumpster somewhere on the Potomac, wouldn't you?
Funny you should ask. Trump has announced his replacement for Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, and this new guy definitely has none. He also has no experience in actual national intelligence either, which is a legal requirement for the job. So quite how this works is unclear. Right. So here's Trump's get this 38-year-old Federal Housing Finance Agency head, a guy called Bill Pulte, who's qualified in the usual way.
He's a rich fuck and he's a massive donor to Trump.
Yeah, and he's aced his current job, which apparently he's proposing also to keep the Federal Housing Agency job on top of his Director of National Intelligence role if he gets that. So he has used his housing role so far, 1, to improperly access New York Attorney General Letitia James' mortgage records to bring charges against her in revenge for her successfully bringing fraud charges in New York against Donald Trump. The charges that were brought against Letitia James failed.
Yeah, he also put up job. Yeah.
He also fired his own department's internal ethics watchdogs for going after Trump allies.
Nothing to see here like firing the ethics watchdog. But even by Trump standards, Pulte is unusually appalling. Pulte's money comes in the usual way from his family's fortune. They build homes across the US, but the family hates him so much they boned him from the board in 2020.
You haven't spoken to him in 6 years. Now,
so he needed a job and went to Trump.
Now, that brings us back, you ask, to Scott Bessent, who this week, Secretary of the Treasury, faced this question in the Senate from North Carolina Republican Senator Tom Tillis. Scott Bessent then tried to worm his way out of this answer in the same hearing, but here was Scott Bessent's own ringing endorsement of Trump's new Director of National Intelligence, Bill Pulte.
I do have one awkward question to ask you real quick, and then I want to get to some of the trends and how you're going to work on them. Did you actually tell Pulte you were going to punch him in the face?
No, sir. I actually said I was going to kick his ass.
Good. Okay. Good. I share the emotion.
And of course, he is spot on. Now, Hog, we did mention Tulsi Gabbard, so close to the Kremlin, she earned the nickname Russia's girlfriend. But let's home in on the actual Russian war with Ukraine. Russia has been ramping up its air attacks in recent months. This week, that included Zircon missiles, the most ever used in one attack, powerful enough to destroy aircraft carriers. And none were intercepted because they're almost impossible to shoot down. Result, 23 Ukrainians dead, 151 injured. Civilians, of course.
And the reason they're doing it, Russia, is because they're losing, right? 35,000 Russians, I saw, were killed or wounded in the month of April. Ukraine that month also took back more land than Russia did. And that was the first time that ever happened.
Yeah, they're well on top on 60% of those casualties are deaths, which is extraordinary. And in fact, on Wednesday this week, Ukraine undertook massive strikes on St. Petersburg, just hours before the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum was to start, which is basically Putin's version of Davos, where Putin himself was due to speak.
By the way, stooges from about 100 countries, including the United States, are at that conference. I don't know if you know, including such great international economic minds as the far-right Jew-hating nutbag influencer Candace Owens and the manosphere sex trafficker Andrew Tate.
I'm not sure if it's stooges from 100 countries or 100 cunts from various stoogeries. The good news is the US has finally come to the rescue, Honky.
Or of Ukraine?
No, of Putin.
Oh, thank God, yeah.
Their mate. As we've said before, the US has lifted sanctions on Russian oil, which, coupled with the oil price spike in Iran, where Russia is, reminder, helping the Iranians attack American positions, that lifting of sanctions and the high oil price is pumping $1 billion a day into Putin's coffers. I mean, it's absolutely nuts what the US is doing.
It's just staggering, isn't it? The only bright spot here is that also Wednesday this week, Republicans and an independent in the US House of Reps crossed the floor to support a bill imposing new sanctions on Russia and increasing aid to Ukraine. That still has to get through the Senate and pass Trump, but it's a clear sign of standing up to Trump and his shameless support of Russia for who knows exactly what reasons that, if said out loud, might get us a Zircon missile in the butt too.
Yeah, indeed. Well, the world sucks, Honky. It's time to reward listeners and viewers with some lighter fare.
Yes, your beloved, Henry's beloved sports section is incoming. But first, entertainment. We don't do it often, but movie star Halle Berry was on the NBC Today show this week, and she took the opportunity to remind us all of the huge importance of really good diction.
Do we have time for one more? One more. Biggest ick.
Biggest
Ick?
ick. Oh.
Oh, Hallie. I was like, what?
It sounded like that, didn't it?
No.
Oh, it did to me.
No, you are nutty. No, but you're right.
I was going to say
They're
Vans.
right. You're right. Oh.
Vans.
There was something about the car that's like the word biggest with the word ick.
It just
She's
went,
right.
It is.
We should have. We're off the
should think about
5-second
that.
delay.
That's enough. I think we're
Between the heated rivalry and biggest ick. Ick. I said ick.
No,
Yes,
you
I
didn't.
did. Yes, I did.
Tell you one thing, Honk. It's a good day to be Van, whoever he is.
It's her fiance, I think. And if he's not, mate, I'd buy the ring right now. Don't want to jinx it, but it's looking good.
I'm sure he has a very nice personality as well.
Yeah, great personality.
Okay, Honk, time for sport. And I'm pleased to report that the West Tigers, our beloved shithouse football team, had a win.
Now, did you watch it?
Well, I did, Honky, but it was, I've got to tell you, a little bit of a circuitous tale.
Oh, no, you watching a West Tigers game. Circuitous, I can't believe it. Please go on,
Well,
please.
firstly, I was on a plane when the game started.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. Then I accidentally saw the score and saw that we were up 10-0 when I was checking to see the kickoff time.
A real Tigers fan would have known the kickoff time, but go on. Yeah.
Yes. Then on landing, I get a text from you that says, quote, FFS, for fuck's sake, more torture this game, which of course, Honk, breaks every known protocol of men texting each other during sports matches, including ones we have agreed directly, which of course is to check if the other person is watching before dishing out spoilers.
Once again, a real Tigers fan would have been watching live like I was.
Anyway, I foolishly assume you know what you're talking about. So to save myself the pain of a fourth loss in a row, I checked the score before watching. I saw that we won and had a very relaxing and enjoyable couple of hours. I even misremembered the final score, Honk, so the ending was still a surprise. But this week, Honk, we are playing the team that's won 4 of the last 5 premierships, the mighty Penrith Panthers.
We have no chance.
I agree, and I will definitely check the score before watching.
By the way, my text to you, for fuck's sake, more torture this game, is not a result giveaway.
It was a spoiler, Honky, for sure.
For fuck's sake, more torture this game means the game is ongoing. Quote, did you watch the Tigers? With the reply, no, but someone just told me we won. Full stop. I didn't give the result away, did I? End quote. That's a spoiler.
Well, that was also you.
Oh, yeah, that was me. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Now, Honk, the other big news in sport this week was in world football, i.e. soccer, where plucky Paris Saint-Germain was defending its UEFA Champions League title. And Honk, as I know you know, the Champions League is the club football championship of Europe, formerly the European Cup, the most prestigious club title there is. And PSG, as the team is nicknamed, beat newly crowned England champions Arsenal on a penalty shootout.
Please, I didn't miss a minute, other than the first 120 and the shootout.
You missed it like Arsenal missed the last penalty, Honk.
They did. They missed it. I mean, I know. Can you believe it? You wouldn't read about it.
It's actually a heartwarming story, Honk. Some would say it would have been more heartwarming had Arsenal won London club first English title for 22 years, long-suffering fans. Them winning the domestic and European double would have been a dream come true for Arsenal fans, except I go for Liverpool and we sacked our manager because he lost to Arsenal and PSG for that matter, so I don't care.
So what then was heartwarming about Paris Saint-Germain, PSG winning?
Well, Hock, in these troubled times of global instability where we're all just looking for something to hold on to, PSG proved that there are still some things money can buy, specifically football championships.
Don't want no underdogs triumphing against all odds, do we?
That's right. Those underdogs Arsenal scraping by with a wage bill of 413 million euros per year.
Fuck. How much does Paris Saint-Germain spend?
535 million euros. That's 866 million
Wow.
Aussie dollars a year for a squad of 24. The top guys in the team, Honk, have to get by on 300,000 euros. 500,000 Aussie per week.
Listen, with inflation like it is, that is barely enough to cover gas.
That's true. We've got to pay for the trains again now in Melbourne, so there's that as well.
Luckily, the Fair Work Commission just put up the minimum wage 5% here in Australia, and our Federal Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, claims to have cut tax by $5 a week. So if the Paris Saint-Germain players can somehow just hang on, eat crackers a couple more days, there are better times ahead. Who owns Paris Saint-Germain, by the way?
Oh, it's a little French not-for-profit cooperative called Qatar. So the Qatar Sovereign Wealth Fund bought PSG in 2011. It's a core plank of their globalisation strategy / sports washing. Abu Dhabi bought Man City in 2008 and Qatar basically copied the idea.
Hey, a little LNG in the tank makes the players run just that bit faster.
And then the Saudis bought Newcastle United, also in the English Premier League.
Interesting. How do their footballers go when their legs have been chopped off with a bone saw out of interest?
well, they've got a big squad, Honk. The other thing about the win, though, were the celebrations. PSG won the UEFA Champions League last year as well, but their fans still celebrated with vigour.
By vigour, I assume you mean writing.
How did you know?
Well, it's soccer, isn't it?
Football, Honky. Football. But yes, following PSG's win, nearly 800 people were detained, 50 police injured, a couple of deaths, smashed windows, burning cars. The Champs-Elysees was a mess.
I've got to say, I'm excited the hooligans are in form for the World Cup, which I think starts next week, right? That's the event every 4 years where the countries of the world play off to find the best football hooligans from all over.
Hockey, England hasn't won the World Cup since 1966. If it was a hooligan event, they'd be a shoo-in.
I don't know if these English hooligans have still got it, the fucking pussies. There we go. That ought to do it. Anyway.
What's that knock on the door?
Anyway, sounds like those PSG fans would fit right in with our next segment. That is, if it wasn't for all the other cunts of the week. Music, please.
I'm a cunt.
Okay, Henry, let's start it off with a fun one. Salute to a couple of good cunts. These are the cunts that make the world a better place. Like this woman arrested this week after pretending to work at a Costco's in Tampa in Florida. She turned the sample station into an impromptu happy hour for shoppers. She entered the store dressed in black pants and red polo and a fake badge reading beverage team. then spent an hour handing out tequila shots in tiny ketchup cups, pairing liquors with frozen snacks, telling customers it was a tasting event. When she was confronted, she even pitched, quote, bottomless sample Fridays to management.
Outstanding.
The cops arrived. She gets escorted out yelling, "Who's ready for round two?" while everyone claps and cheers. One shopper joked, quote, "I honestly thought Costco was just evolving." This is a true story. We'll put it up on We'll put it up on our show notes. It is worth reading just for the hilarious Instagram comments.
Well, God bless her.
Nod to Booking.com, which has kicked off all its platforms, the German Hotel zum Hirschen, for cancelling the booking of some Israeli guests with the following message, quote, "Sorry, there are no Jews allowed in this hotel." What? The hotel, it's up on screen for viewers, for listeners. We'll put this on the show notes too. The hotel has tried to explain they're not anti-Semitic. Get this, here's their explanation. It's a corker. They're not anti-Semitic. They were just being inundated with fake bookings, which they believed were all coming from Israel.
Well, obviously, that's because Israeli Jews control the media, including the social media. Okay, everyone knows that. Acquitted, Your Honour. By the way, these guys at the hotel are they're gonna love 1944
and 1945. Now, Henry, we know firearm violence is out of control in the United States. We've talked about the stats in detail on the show, but never did I think I'd report to you about an American being shot by a dog.
Was it Chrissy Noem's dog firing back?
It's not. True story. Washington Post this week. Some dumb Nebraska cunt is at a convenience store, leaves his dog in the backseat of his truck. The dog steps on a loaded rifle this dumb cunt also left in the back seat. The rifle shoots a woman out the window who was stopped at a traffic light.
What? Don't jump to conclusions, Hog. If there'd only been a good dog with a gun to stop the bad dog with a gun, we wouldn't have this problem.
So true. Now, Henry, earlier we promised listeners and viewers some quality Australian crooks, fuckwits and morons and gift with purchase, as they say in the biz. They're also cunts this week. Take us through it, please.
Well, indeed, and I love this one. We have to start with the country's allegedly leading audit firm, KPMG, one of the big 3 or 4, whose boss and another senior partner were fired this week after it came out that KPMG illegally used the confidential information of one of its top clients, Lendlease, the big Australian construction firm, to secure audit work from the bank Westpac and from Macquarie Bank. The Macquarie Bank contract worth $75 million.
Jesus Christ, wow.
And that's obviously an absolute no-no for professional services firms. And KPMG was denying the story until 2 weeks ago when it was revealed in Parliament thanks to a whistleblower.
Yeah.
So KPMG Australia is now under investigation by the federal regulator. And of course, the last time, if this sounds familiar, Honk, that this happened in Australia was to the consulting firm PwC, then led by the penile exposer Luke Sayers.
Of course.
Which was banned from further work with Australian federal agencies, had to sack hundreds of innocent, unrelated staff and lost most of its customers to KPMG. And this one's far from over, Honk. Cunts!
Another pet hate of yours, mine, and pretty much every airline passenger in Australia, I think, Henry, is Jetstar, the low-budget arm of Qantas.
Well, I think more accurately, that would be every would-be airline passenger in Australia, Honk, because I'm not sure any Jetstar flights ever actually taken off.
I had one take off once, except then it got cancelled while we were in the air. We crashed into the Pacific, had to swim. The only meals were served to the sharks. It was shithouse.
He landed next to the Whaleship Essex. Jetstar, I'm glad you survived. Jetstar had a shocker this week, appearing before an Australian Senate committee into a proposed new aviation customer charter. Jetstar's boss said, and get this, if they had to comply with minimum service standards to passengers, they'd go out of business. Although maybe that's the idea. Jetstar's boss also said it wouldn't be fair to blame Jetstar for things beyond its control, like takeoff and baggage delays. Surely they are Jetstar's fault. No one else takes off hours late, if at all, and loses bags quite like Jetstar. And I speak from bitter experience.
The only people who lose luggage worse than Jetstar are the guys on the platforms at Auschwitz, which to this day
well, at least the train's left on time.
Still the worst customer service I ever experienced, and I couldn't help but take it personally. I don't know what it was. I saw Jetstar's boss was also worried about Jetstar being held responsible for delays by its code-share partners.
Do they have code-share partners?
No.
Who the fuck wants to partner with Jetstar? We're going to get you nearly to your destination. And then we're going to cancel the flight. You're going to wait for 9 hours.
Oh, little cunts. Now, Henry, while bashing easy Aussie targets, it would surely be remiss of us, irresponsible, not to mention a true friend of the show, Scots College, the $55,000 a year. That's what it costs now. Private school here in Sydney.
Yes.
Who could forget their past smash hits, like forgetting to pay its staff, then trying to get out of it by saying, yes, we did, only no, they didn't.
I love the castle honk. Remember the huge castle they built on school grounds that they made parents pay for? Not just with school fees, but then by charging them involuntarily a fee to attend its opening, whether they were there or not.
It's impressive. But it's really impressive to sort of be out of the charts for a few years and then to come back. And now Scots College is back with another smash hit, Henry. Last year, Scots College's HSC results, that is the end of high school exams results in the state of New South Wales, their ranking saw them drop from 40th in the state to 80th in the state. The headmaster has written to parents calling the criticism, quote, uninformed.
Well, it sounds to me like the students were the ones that were uninformed, Honky. Otherwise, they would have done a little bit better. Did they not drop from 40th to 80th?
He claims also that Scots could have taken the easy route, he said, of teaching easier subjects to boost student marks.
Or just teaching, Honk.
I don't know about you, Henry, but that idea of easier subjects, I'd get on that, pal, because somewhere in your supply chain are some clearly pretty fucking dumb people. And yet, Henry, none of these crooks, fuckwits or morons, even the Australian ones, is our cunt of the week. That honour goes this week to one of the saddest and truly most outrageous stories we have ever covered. This is, you may know.
For heart, aren't you?
I am front page news, you may know, in the UK. It is the UK's biggest national story in years. I would say no bigger story maybe since the tragic events of 7/7 in London, the bombings. So the story is this. An 18-year-old white kid named Henry Nowak at University in Southampton was alone, not drunk. He'd had like one drink one night in December 2025 when he had an altercation with a 23-year-old named Vikram Sigwa, a guy with an unhealthy obsession with weapons, who, as a Sikh, as it happens, was legally carrying a ceremonial dagger. Henry Nowak is stabbed 4 or 5 times. Vikram and his brother call the cops and claim they had been the victims of a racially motivated attack, which was later established they absolutely had not been. Not true at all. The cops arrive. Henry Nowak, the white kid, is lying on the ground. They handcuff him and have a listen or a look to the next 15 seconds of this pixelated police video. The first voice is Henry's. The second is one of the cops. And content warning, this is really shocking stuff.
Grab his other arm. What's happened to you, alright? You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
Oh, it's just terrific. I actually remember when it happened now that you tell the story.
The cops did not bother checking for stab wounds. The kid's wounds were not survivable, but Henry died on the ground in handcuffs while the police focused their concerns on his killer. Now, the killer, you'll be pleased to know, was just this week sentenced to at least 21 years in jail. Yeah. But of course, as we've talked about lately, for the UK, the timing could not be worse. Failing economy, total lack of confidence in the current government, a rising far right. We've also talked about who blame immigration for the UK's problems. Riots have begun and continue against police who've been injured, and they're ongoing as we speak now. Nigel Farage, the leader of the Reform UK party, who we've also talked about, has used the murder, predictably, sadly, for racist purposes, asserting the cops have now been indoctrinated to believe any claim of racism made by a non-white person against a white person. Bizarrely, the person to emerge most like a leader from it all is the deeply unpopular Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This was him this week in the UK House of Commons. We've given him a lot of shit on the show, but this really is the speech of his life. Have a look and a listen.
Grieving family have asked us not to respond in the way that the leader of Reform has responded. They've asked us not to. They have lost their son in the most appalling circumstance. They make a simple plea of us as human beings to please not exploit that. That is their plea to us. And we all need to reflect on those words of Henry's father. My response, and the response of others, to be fair, has been focused on the lessons to be learned so we can deliver justice. His response has been to appeal for rage. Rage. That's his response. to a father who's lost his son and ask for that not to happen. Exploiting this tragedy to create grievance and division would be wrong in any circumstances, but to do it when the family are expressly saying, please don't, is unforgivable. It shows exactly who he is.
Yeah, won't bring the kid back though, will it, Honk?
No. And look, the stabbing and the lies of the police by the killer and his brother are obviously unfathomably evil, and he got what he deserved, 21 years at least. But the cops' treatment of the dying boy is totally incompetent and unforgivably cruel. The investigations into the police conduct are, as you'd expect, underway. But Vikram Sigwa, the UK Southampton Police, you are by a million miles our dual winner cunts of the week. And I think you know what song you both get for it.
Go fuck yourself. I wanna say, go fuck yourself.
Jesus, Honk, that was heavy stuff, man. Can we go back to the, the light-hearted things like the dog shooting the lady? Unless, of course, you want to take us through the complete history of Great British mining disasters, soundtracked by the Bee Gees. That's all we have time for. Thanks, as always, for joining us, folks. You can watch us on YouTube. If you're not already, drop us a like or a comment. We love reading comments. The YouTube link's in our show notes. You can also find us on all the audio platforms, of course, but you can watch us if you want to on Spotify, on video, or perhaps just understandably stick to audio. Find us in all the usual social locations, especially TikTok, Insta, and YouTube for our short clips. And please share us on your socials, including your WhatsApp groups, and rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps grow the show.
Yes. Also, as we say, check out our show notes wherever you get the podcast. From those show notes, you can send us a text. We'll read it. You can send us a voicemail. We'll play it. And also use that voicemail or a text or an email also on our show notes to join our Ask Our Experts Advice new thing, like Sister Lee did. We'd love to hear from you. And do read our show notes, as we always say, for extra jokes so bad that, in fact, good news, Henry and I have just been offered co-head of English at Scots College.
I thought it would be in the French department, Honky, but,
Mais no.
Better luck next time. All right, we'll be back next week at the usual time, ASAP, Saturday, Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, but before we go, a little video, audio to show there is still beauty in the world. So not more crooks, fuckwits and morons, something a bit more uplifting. Sterling Nasser, those in Australia may have read about, is a 21-year-old uni student. He was in the audience last Saturday night in Sydney among 2,000 people for a live orchestra performance accompanying the musical film La La Land. The Oscar-winning conductor, who was the film's composer, Justin Hurwitz, suddenly announces the orchestra's keyboardist has fallen ill, and he asks if there's anybody in the audience who can sight read and play the rest of the show. And Sterling Nasser nervously puts his hand up. He goes on stage, and it is absolutely amazing stuff.
How fantastic. Well, my pick this week, Honk, is this fine piece from Georgia's Democratic US Senator John Ossoff, who turns out is half Australian via his mum's side. So he's going to be Aussie John Ossoff, and he certainly made me feel better about Donald Trump's shameless egomania with his memorable explanation.
So do enjoy these two uplifting or hopefully uplifting pieces, and we'll be back next week because, as the great Henry Lee always says,
stupid never sleeps. Now, Honk, you know this is a comedy podcast, right?
There's always something I forget. Sorry.
It's not a pet or other kind of crematorium. Just keep the tone light, will you?
Anybody like an amazing sight reader? You can sight read? Sight read? Okay. You want to join us?
Oh my God.
What the hell?
He's trying to put his face on the money. Did you see that? He's building a monument to himself. But see, Atlanta, he's doing these things now because no one will honor him when he's gone. because he's a failed president and a national disgrace.